You know, it all started on this quiet Friday night at the Willow Creek Diner, right here in our little town of Elmwood. Nothing fancy, just worn blue booths, flickering fluorescent lights, and that old soda fountain that still sputters like it's got a grudge against carbonation. My wife, Sarah, and I'm Jack Harlan, by the way, just a regular mechanic scraping by on oil changes and tire rotations. We decided to treat our 7-year-old daughter, Emma, to a simple burger night. You see, because money's been tight ever since the auto shop cut hours, and we figured one evening without staring at bills piling up on the kitchen table might do us all some good. But man, peace can shatter faster than a dropped milkshake glass. This guy Rudy, a washed-up logger who'd been drowning his sorrows at the bar counter, suddenly locked eyes on our table, his face twisting like he'd just bitten into something sour, and before we knew it, he was stumbling over, reeking of cheap whiskey, reaching right for Emma's treasured stuffed fox, Mr. Whiskers, the one her grandpa gave her before he passed last winter. A little piece of comfort she clings to like it's her armor against the world. Sarah froze, her hand halfway to her fries, and I felt that knot in my gut tighten. Rudy wasn't just some random drunk. Turns out, he'd harbored this petty grudge against me ever since I turned down fixing his truck on credit a few months back, claiming I was part of the stuck-up crowd renting the town, even though we're barely making rent ourselves. And now, here he was, snatching Mr. Whiskers right out of Emma's tiny hands, holding it up like a trophy, slurring something about kids these days got too much crap anyway. And Emma's eyes welled up, her whimper cutting through the diner, noise sharper than any knife. I stood up slow, heart pounding, trying to keep my voice steady. Hey, buddy, give it back. That's not yours. But Rudy just laughed, that mean, bitter chuckle echoing off the walls, waving the fox around, taunting. What are you going to do about it, grease monkey? Cry like your kid? And in that moment, I saw red, but fear held me back, because Rudy was bigger, meaner, and the way his fist clenched, I knew this could turn ugly fast, leaving Sarah shielding Emma, whispering comforts that felt hollow against the rising tension. The diner went dead quiet, forks hovering midair, the waitress peeking from behind the counter with wide eyes. Nobody moved. Nobody dared until suddenly, chairs scraped back in unison from the big table by the window, and up stood this group of rough-looking guys in leather jackets, their patches glinting under the lights, reading Guardians Against Child Harm, or GACH as they call it. Bikers who'd rolled into town for a charity run, but now formed this solid wall of muscle and resolve, stepping forward without a word at first, just their boots thumping like a heartbeat. Their leader, this burly guy with a salt and pepper beard we later learned went by Hawk, locked eyes on Rudy, his voice low and even, like gravel under tires. Put it down, now. And Rudy blinked, swaying a bit, trying to puff up with that false bravado, sneering back. Mind your own. Biker trash, this ain't your fight. But Hawk didn't flinch, just crossed his arms, replying calm as a summer lake. The second you made that little girl cry, it became ours. Hand it over, or things get real uncomfortable for you. I could see Rudy's smirk falter, the weight of those 20-odd stares pressing down on him like an invisible hand, his hand trembling as he finally lowered the fox, muttering curses under his breath, and Hawk knelt down gentle as anything, handing it back to Emma with a soft smile. Here you go, kiddo, he's all safe now. And she clutched it tight, whispering a tiny, thank you, her tears drying up as quick as they came. But Rudy's ego wasn't done bruising. Oh no. Embarrassment like that doesn't sit well with a guy who's already lost his job to the mill closing and blames everyone but himself, especially folks like me who he thinks got it easy. So he stormed out, slamming the door so hard the bells jingled wildly, and we all breathed a sigh, thinking that was the end. Sarah stroking Emma's hair, me sinking back into the booth with shaky hands, even managing a weak joke about the fries getting cold. The bikers settled back down, sipping their coffees, chatting low among themselves, but Hawk caught my eye, nodding subtle-like, and leaned over. Well, hang tight till you're done eating, just in case. And Emma peeked up at him shyly, asking in that innocent way kids do, are you like Knights on Motorcycles? Which got a chuckle from him, deep and warm, something like that. Sweetheart, we ride to make sure no one messes with the little ones. The diner buzzed back to life, folks murmuring in awe. The cook, old Mr. Ellis, leaning out from the kitchen with a grin, saying, never seen nothing like it. but damn if it ain't right. And for a minute, it felt like the world tilted back to normal, gratitude washing over us like warm rain. Then came the roar outside, not the steady hum of bikes, but the angry rev of beat-up trucks pulling into the lot, headlights slicing through the windows like accusatory fingers. Rudy hadn't slunk off. No, fueled by that mix of shame and old resentments. He'd rounded up his cronies from the old logging crew, guys nursing the same grudges against townies, like us who they figured were hogging the jobs and land. Even though Elmwood's just a fading spot on the map where everyone's struggling. The door burst open, Rudy leading the pack, pointing right at Hawk with a finger like a loaded gun. You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone, you leather-wearing clowns? This town's ours, not some outsider's playground. And his buddies puffed up behind him, cracking knuckles, one of them snarling. Yeah, who's babysitting now? Gonna hide behind your bikes. The air thickened, Emma burying her face in Sarah's side, me standing again, but feeling that helpless pull, knowing a fistfight here could end bad for everyone. But the bikers rose slow and sure, forming that unbreakable line once more, Hawk stepping forward, voice steady as ever. We don't pick fights, but you step 1 foot closer to that family, and you'll wish you hadn't. This ain't about territory or old beefs. It's about not letting bullies like you terrorize kids. Rudy shoved closer, chest heaving, spitting out, move, or we'll make you. But one of the bikers, a tall fellow with a scar across his cheek named Tank, loomed over him, rumbling deep. Try it. Pal, we've faced worse than a bunch of sore losers clinging to the past. And you could see the crack in their facade, Rudy's eyes darting, his crew shifting uneasy as the silence stretched, broken only by the hum of the fridge in the back. Finally, Rudy's shoulders slumped just a hair, pride warring with the dawning realization that these guys weren't bluffing. They weren't here for glory or land grabs. They were driven by something deeper, stories of their own maybe, kids they'd lost or protected, making him unyielding, and with a final curse, he backed off, muttering, "Ain't worth the hassle." His gang trailing out like deflated balloons, trucks peeling away into the night. The diner erupted in quiet cheers, folks clapping softly, a lady at the counter whispering, "Thank heavens for him." And Sarah let out a sob she'd been holding, hugging Emma tight while I just stood there, adrenaline fading into this profound relief, watching Hawk turn back to us, crouching down again. All good now. Folks, finish your burgers. We'll see you out safe. Emma smiled for the first time that night, peeking out. You scared him away without even yelling, and Hawk winked. Sometimes standing tall is louder than any shout, kid. We wrapped up our meal, the bikers lingering like quiet sentinels, sharing laughs that cut through the leftover tension. And as we headed to the car, they flanked us, engines rumbling low and protective, escorting us home through Elmwood's sleepy streets, neighbors peeking from curtains, probably wondering what the heck a family like ours was doing with a biker convoy. But to us, it felt like family, unexpected and fierce. Days later, the story rippled out, blurry phone pics online, folks sharing how these guardians turned a nightmare into a lesson. And Emma, she started carrying herself different, less afraid, raising her hand in school, even standing up for a bullied classmate once, echoing what she'd seen. Sarah found her voice too, volunteering at the community center, advocating for folks facing down bullies of all kinds. And me? I went back to the diner alone one afternoon, found Hawk nursing a black coffee, and slid into the booth. I gotta know, why do this? What's in it for you guys? He leaned back, eyes distant for a sec, lost a niece to abuse years back. Couldn't save her, but now we ride so no other kid feels that alone. It's not about us, Jack. It's about reminding him the world's got more good than bad, even if it shows up on Harleys. Months turned to years, but that night etched itself deep. We hit the diner on anniversaries, toasting quietly to those nights. And on Emma's 8th birthday, wouldn't you know, the rumble returned, bikers rolling up with a little wrapped gift, a new stuffed fox patched with their emblem. No kid left behind. She beamed, hugging it tight. Mr. Whiskers has a friend now, and the neighborhood cheered, kids wide-eyed, parents whispering in respect. Emma grew up strong, Mr. Whiskers tucked away but never forgotten, and she'd tell her own kids one day how strangers became guardians, how strength ain't always in swinging fists but in standing firm. But here's the thing that still nags at me, sparks debates whenever I share this. Was Rudy just a product of this town's hard times, the mill closings and lost dreams turning good men bitter, or was he always a bully waiting for an excuse? Makes you wonder about community, right? How misunderstandings and grudges fester when folks don't talk, or when power plays like old rivalries over jobs and land divide us instead of uniting against the real threats, like protecting our kids from harm's way. If this tale hit home for you, drop a like, subscribe for more real-life stories of everyday heroes, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. But more than that, comment below. What do you think was justice served that night? Or should we be doing more to heal those divides in our towns before they boil over? Share your take on bullies, bikers, or those moments that changed how you see the world. Let's chat about it. Because stories like this remind us we're all in this ride together.